Hey all, welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, and today I have for you guys a Buster Blader build. So me and my buddy sat down, we looked online, we tried to find some competitive decks, and we found one that was actually topping a little bit, and that was a Buster Blader deck. And a specific variant of that was doing well was a Kaiju variant. So we kind of sat down and we're like, okay, well let's try and make one. So this is what we came up with, and this is what we found to be fairly consistent and very competitive. So it utilizes all the mechanics, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, which I personally love, but I don't feel like this has very much potential for Links. So I'm pretty sure this is gonna die pretty quickly once Link Summoning gets released. But until then, this is a really fun deck just to kind of use online. I wouldn't really make the investment yet until we can kind of see how it pans out. But nevertheless, I've done a Blue Eyes deck profile, I've done a Red Eyes deck profile, and I really want to do some more legacy decks that have kind of made it back into the spotlight. So I thought, hey, let's do the Buster Blader deck profile today. So jumping right in, we have 3 Buster Bladers. I have the original art because I just like the original art the most. And this card is pretty classic, 2 tribute monster, it's a warrior type, and it gains 500 attack for each dragon type monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. Now, a lot of older decks use DNA surgery to kind of make this happen a little bit easier, but there is a new synchro card that kind of makes that a little bit more plausible. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's just keep on with the main deck. We also have 2 Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordsman. So this card's name becomes Buster Blader while it's on the field or in the graveyard, and if a monster your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect instead of the graveyard, you can target one of those destroyed monsters and equip it to this card. And then, once per turn, you can send one monster card you control that is equipped to this card to the graveyard. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls with the same type as that monster. So there's spells and trap cards in this deck that kind of help you do that, but that's really awesome because you can blow up your opponent's field and you can put some reinsurance on Buster Blade of the Destruction Swordman for later. Once again, a level 7 2 tribute summon monster that has 2600 attack. Next up, we got 3 Buster Whelps, the Destruction Swordsman. So this is a tuner monster, level 1 and only 400 attack, but when this card is normal summoned, you can add 1 Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand, except this card. You can only use one of the following effects of Buster Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman per turn, and only once that turn. So that kind of makes it so if your opponent can negate its effect, it's kind of a dead card for the most part, unless you can maybe synchro it out. But its effects are, you can tribute this card, special summon 1 Buster Blader from your hand or graveyard. So that's pretty awesome because Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordsman name becomes Buster Blader while it's in the graveyard. So you can special summon that, or you can special summon Buster Blader from your hand. So that's pretty awesome. If this card is in your graveyard and you control Buster Blader, you can discard 1 Destruction Sword card and special summon this card. So that's really cool because that's reusable, it doesn't get banished after. So you can just discard your many spell and trap cards, and maybe if you have a Buster Blader out, you can get that level 8 synchro play going. Awesome tuner, you're going to really want to get Buster Dragon out as quickly as possible, and then this is a really great card to get there. Next up, we got 3 Dragon Buster Destruction Swords. So you can target 1 Buster Blader you control and equip this monster from your hand or your side of the field to that target. When this card is equipped to a monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can special summon this equipped card. You can only use this effect of Dragon Buster Destruction Sword once per turn. But let's be honest here, that's the domain of the true monarchs with a little bit easier conditions there if you can already have your Buster Blader out. So that's pretty awesome. You can get that and you can really shut them down that way. And that ends off our Buster Blader support for the main deck monsters. Now let's move on to the Kaiju engine that we have in front of us. Now this is an engine taken straight out of another Buster Blader deck profile that we saw that was doing quite well in the local regional level, I do believe. So basically the 4 Kaijus that we decided to include is Thunder King, the Lightning Strike Kaiju, level 9, 3300 attack, Doragon, the Mad Flame Kaiju, level 8, 3000 attack, Kumungus, the Sticky String Kaiju, 7 star, 2400 attack, and Raiden, the Multidimensional Kaiju, 7 star as well, and 2800 attack. And they each got their own individual special effects. Mostly you're just going to be tribute summoning it over and destroying it instantly. And then we also have 1 Glow Up Bulb, and Glow Up Bulb is still one of the best level 1 tuner monsters for easy special summons. Alright, then we got our hand traps. So we got one Max C, very essential for any deck. We have one Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. We do got another Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit in the side deck. I was playing with the numbers of these. And then we got one Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring in the main deck and one in the side deck. Of course, these are two of the best hand traps there are right now and very competitive in this format. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit to stop those effect activations, and Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring to stop the effects that add a card, special summon from the deck, send a card from the deck, stop all those with this beautiful card. Now moving on to our spell and trap card lineup. For our spells, starting off we have some Buster Blader Search. Now we only have 3 cards to search from, so that's why we only have one emblem of the Dragon Destroyer. This just adds one Buster Blader from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Fairly convenient, and I probably wouldn't play this more than just one. I only have one because I like to search, and this kind of makes it so you have 4 Buster Bladers. And this also allows you to get your Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordsman, if it's in the graveyard, back to your hand. So I like it, but I wouldn't play more than 2. 2's kind of a stretch already, maybe not even at all, but I like 1. Then we got the main fusion card. This is very essential. So you can fusion summon one fusion monster that lists Buster Blader as its material from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or either side of the field as fusion materials. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard, add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Destruction Swordmaster fusion once per turn. Now this is a very key card because if you have So this is an awesome card because a lot of the times you have effects that make your opponent's monsters dragons. So you can use your Buster Blader and their monster as fusion material to bring out your fusion monster. And this has great recycling abilities. It is also a quick play, so it's very awesome there as well. That ends off our Buster Blader support from the spells. Moving on to the searching, we got a 1/1. Obviously you have 6 level 1 monsters that are Buster Blader specific and 1 glow up bulb to search from, so that's really cool. It's very, very convenient. Definitely run 1/1 for 1. Then we also have a draw power card of 1 day of peace. Awesome. Allows each player to draw a card, but then neither player takes damage. I like it because it's kind of essential in a lot of decks now to kind of give that extra stall so you can kind of build your strategy up. And then we also have 2 Sacred Sword of 7 stars, as they are 5 level 7 monsters in our deck that we have great refueling of, but you banish one of those level 7 monsters from your hand or face up from your side of the field and draw 2 cards. This can only be used once per turn. And then we also have an Upstart Goblin. Very, very generic. Draw 1 card, then your opponent gains 1000 life points. You've seen this a lot. Then onto our Kaiju cards, we have Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Destroy as many monsters on the field as possible. Then special summon in attack position 2 Kaiju monsters with different names from your deck, 1 on each side, but they cannot change their battle positions and must attack if able during your main phase, except the turn this card is sent to the graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard and add 1 Kaiju monster from your deck to your hand. Awesome search, awesome destruction field effect, and then you usually give yourself the stronger Kaiju. That's why this card is at 2, and that's why we run 2 of them. And then we have 1 Twin Twister, obviously just because everything needs a little bit of back row destruction, and you have a lot of monster destruction here, so we just tossed in some back row destruction. Now under our traps, we have a lot of support for the Buster Blader archetype in the traps. So first off, Destruction Sword Slash, we have 2 of these, and if you control a fusion monster that lists Buster Blader as material, banish all monsters your opponent controls. When a card or effect is activated that targets a Buster Blader monster you control, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. So this is like a Return of the Dragon Lords that resides in your graveyard, but it's also just banishes all your opponent's monsters if you have a Buster Blader fusion monster on your field, which we do run 3 copies of the best one, and the only one, really. But then we also have 3 Destruction Sword Memories. So this is really cool because you can discard 1 Destruction Sword card, special summon 1 Buster Blader monster from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard, fusion summon 1 Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroying Swordsman, from your extract by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your graveyard. So you can use your graveyard for your fusion material with this card, and allows you to special summon a Buster Blader monster from your deck. All in all, a great card, that's why we run it at 3. And then we got 2 Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman. So send 1 Destruction Sword card and 1 Buster Blader monster from your deck to the graveyard, except this card, And special summon one Buster Dragon from your extra deck or graveyard, but destroy it during the end phase of this turn. Also, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Destruction Sword cards you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects this turn. And then lastly, we just have some Solemn cards because you really do need them in this format. We have one Solemn Strike and one Solemn Warning. Moving on to our extra deck, we have 3 of the fusions. Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroying Swordsman. So this takes one Buster Blader and one Dragon type monster. This must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. It has to be fusion summoned. This card cannot attack directly. That's a big hindrance of it. But this card gains 1000 attack and defense for each Dragon type monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. This also makes it so all Dragon type monsters your opponent controls are changed to defense position, and Dragon type monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects. Also, if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. So, as you can see, the combos are starting to play. So if your opponent has dragons, first of all, there's not going to be much they can do against it, but we have ways still of making the opponent's monsters dragons already, so that really does shut them down. Next up for our generic support, we have a hot red dragon Archfiend Abyss, we have a Vermilion Dragon Mech, we have a BL, the Diabolical Dragon, we have a Void Ogre Dragon, and we have a red dragon Archfiend Scarrite. And then we have one Crimson Blader, and most importantly, we have our Buster Dragon. Now this card is insane. It has 2800 defense, you're going to want to keep it in defense position, but all monsters your opponent controls become dragon types. That's insane. Also, once per turn, if you do not control a Buster Blader monster, you can target one Buster Blader in your graveyard and special summon it. Once per turn, during your opponent's turn, you can target one Buster Blader monster you control, equip it with one Destruction Sword monster from your graveyard. This is a quick effect. So you're going to want to equip it with this card right here to prevent your opponent from extra deck summoning. So we do run 2 of those, but I toss a third one in the side deck. I think you may need it, and we have a lot of just generic stuff. I'd probably take out BLs because its summoning conditions are really tough. You have to use your Kaiju to bring it out, so it's a little bit challenging. But I think the Buster Dragon is an insanely good card that adds so much to this deck that it makes it as competitive as it is. And then for our Xyz support, we have one number 22 Zombie Scene. This just takes 2 level 8 dark type monsters. We also have a number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy, great for spell negation and for Xyz protection. We also have a Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon because it only takes 2 level 7s and his burn effect is awesome. And of course we have one of the best ranked 7s in my opinion, number 11 Big Eye. Grab your opponent's monsters, take control of them, super easy. And then last but not least, we have our side deck. We have an extra Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and extra Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, just like discussed before. But we also have 2 Effect Veilers, 2 other hand traps that are very underrated. That if you can shut down your opponent's effect during their turn, that's going to stop them pretty big, especially if you're fighting a Zodiac deck. We have that extra Buster Dragon in there. We also have a Reigeki, very powerful of course, but I didn't think it needed to be main deck because you have your banish all your opponent's monsters, and you also have your interrupted Kaiju Slumbers to get rid of cards on the field. We also have a Book of Moon, as it's just a really good tech. But then I also toss in 3 Forbidden Chalices because you can actually use this, on your own Buster Blader fusion monster, and then it can attack directly if you need it to. Which is kind of a fault of it that it cannot attack directly, but this allows you to attack directly and actually give it 400 extra points as well. And then we have an extra Twin Twister because you never know who you're fighting up against. And then we have an extra Destruction Sword Slash, just more banishing of your opponent's monsters. It's pretty great that way. And we have an extra Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman, just in case you need to rebalance some numbers in the deck. And then we have 2 Solemn Strikes. Alright, and there you guys have it. That's the Buster Blader deck profile. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, just leave them down below. I'll try my best to answer all of them to the best of my ability. Also, happy Canada Day. I know this is July 1st. This is going up, so this is awesome. I'm actually out camping. I hope you guys have a great weekend as well. I'm having a good time, hopefully. I have high hopes it's a good weekend. So I hope yours is just as enjoyable, and I hope to catch you in the next one. As always, peace.
you.